Welcome to Step to Self-Help. We are using self-help resources for managing mild to moderate symptoms of mental health difficulties. And this is your managing anxiety session number 1. Today's agenda is to understand a bit more on psychoeducation on anxiety, which means what happens, when you're feeling anxious. Then tools for measuring anxiety levels. We will learn about common triggers. How can anxiety change your thoughts, behavior, your feelings, and biology? So anxiety is usually a natural response to perceived threat or a real danger. Anxiety is a useful response because we can take appropriate action and respond to danger effectively. When mind detects a threat, which is either imagined or real, amygdala, a little center in your brain, which is called the fear center, it becomes active, it becomes triggered, and it releases adrenaline and cortisol, which are main stress hormones. Now, these hormones sharpen your focus and prepares our mind and body to cope with the danger. Okay, so when anxiety is experienced frequently, this can impact our functioning in many areas. So when we need to feel anxious or we need to feel scared, we should feel scared because let's just say, you have fire in your building and you don't feel scared and you don't feel anxious, you won't be able to escape. So anxiety can really help you to get out of dangerous situations. But the problem begins when you start to feel triggered or anxious or worried or stressed about every life event, even smallest problems. So that can then create a difficulty in functioning in many different areas of life, which we will cover. How do we measure impact of anxiety in many different areas using minimum data set, questionnaires, etc. This is the first questionnaire that is often used in just talking therapies to assess symptoms of anxiety. Now, you don't have to do that, but if you can, then that's good because it sets a nice baseline for you to start with. There is a total score of 21, so you can score anything between 0 and 21. 0 to 4 would be minimal anxiety. 5 to 9 would be mild. If you score between 10 and 14, it would be moderate. And if you score between 15 and 21, then that would be severe anxiety. Now, as I previously mentioned in my introductory video, these videos are only suitable for someone who may be experiencing mild to moderate. So if you score between 6 to 14, then these videos could be beneficial. If you score above 15, which is, in the severe range, then these videos might not be as helpful. You can try it, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So this questionnaire, it's more like symptoms. And each of these questions, they need to be rated on a scale of 0 to 3. 0 means that you don't feel anxious at all, you don't feel that symptom at all. 1 would mean several days in a week that you feel that symptom. 2 would mean more than 8 days, and 3 would mean nearly every day that you feel that symptom. Okay. So if you are doing this questionnaire, I'm doing it on my end, I'm doing it for myself, and I would go into the details of each question because it's not just a question, it's an icebreaker, it's a point of reflection, okay? So feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge. And do I feel quite nervous? Do I feel quite tense on a day-to-day basis? Do I feel quite anxious? Yes, set that 1 for me. Am I not able to stop or control worrying? Do I overthink? Thoughts are racing, constantly thinking about one thing or the other. So you've scored that on a scale of 0, 1, 2, 3. So mine is 2 most of the time. And worrying about too much about different things. Yes, that's 2. Trouble relaxing. Now, first of all, you need to establish what does it mean for you to relax. So anything that you associate with relaxation, do you find difficult now to do that because of anxiety? If yes, then that would be why were your responses? So yes, I used to enjoy just sitting on a couch, having a cup of coffee and watching an old movie. I can't do this anymore, so that's 3 for me. being so restless, I start to sit still. So I always have to be moving. I have to be doing something or the other. But I don't know where the urge comes from. So that's 3 for me. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable. Yeah, are you snappy? Are you feeling quite frustrated? Are you overwhelmed? That leads to annoyance, irritability. For me, maybe it's 1. I'm feeling afraid that something awful might happen. So do I catastrophize? Do I feel that every situation is going to have a worst case scenario? What I don't know, I don't catastrophize as much, but maybe 1. Because I've done my questionnaire now, and I have scored 13. I'm 13 out of 21. So I am in that mild to moderate range. Okay. If you've done yours, great. That's for 1. Now, this is the impact assessment using work and social life adjustment scale. Again, this is a way to measure how anxiety is impacting your ability to function in many different areas. Okay. So 0, so the total score is, let's say 8 to 5, 40 is the total score. And then if you score anything between a 0 to 10, that means there is no impairment. 10 to 20 significant, 20 plus moderately severe, and above 20 is quite, clinical, significant level of impairment. Now, if you look at this first question as because of my mental health, my ability to work is impaired. 0 means not at all, and 8 means severely impaired to a point that I cannot work. So for me, it is slightly because I always have to get up. But, during my work day, I have to keep getting up and I have to keep doing something. So yeah, in that way, my symptom of not being able to sit is impacting my ability to focus at work on work. Second is because of my mental health, my home management, cleaning, tidying, shopping, any other home tasks are impaired on a scale of 0 to 8. No, I overdo it. So the home tasks are not impaired. That's 0 for me because I'm so active and I'm just running around doing everything and I can't sit still. That's the benefit to me and my husband. Okay, that's another story. Now, because of my mental health, my social activities, things that are planned with other people like parties, bars, clubs, outings, and visits or dating life, they're affected. Not really. I can be quite social, so maybe 1. Sometimes I feel like, I can't do it because it's just the place is going to be too crowded and noises are my triggers. I just don't like too many different types of noises. So yeah, depend on the menu, 1 or 2. Now, because of my mental health, my private activities such as my hobbies, reading, gardening, any things that I can do in my own time are impacted, and that's a definite yes because I can't relax. That's a 6 for me, maybe 7. Now, because of my mental health, my ability to form and maintain close relationships with others, including those who I live with, is impaired. Yes, because I am irritable sometimes. And then when I'm irritable, then I snap and it can impact my partner, can impact my child, my children. So yes, there is an impact because of my irritability. I would give that a 4. And also sometimes that that irritability and snappiness can also reflect in my work with my colleagues, my manager, and that can impact my work life too. So do you see how these symptoms we've discussed in a gap setting questionnaire are tied in with your ability to function in different areas? Okay, extend. So trigger means any situation, temperature, light, noise, certain types of people, crowd, illnesses, lack of sleep, medication changes in medication, caffeine or alcohol, drug use, any pressure, menopause, premenstrual phase, post-pregnancy phase, anything can trigger your anxiety. Okay. So create a list of your triggers if you know, or if you don't know, And keep that in mind and leave one page in your journal to create a list of your triggers. Okay. So because of anxiety, we may experience changes in our emotions. So we can feel scared, we can feel worried, we can feel guilty, and we can also feel many other emotions. So the second page of your journal should be dedicated to stating what emotions do you experience when you're anxious. Third page in your journal should be devoted to changes in your thoughts. So what kind of thoughts do you experience when you're anxious? Do you feel that you're unable to focus or concentrate? Do you overthink, thoughts racing? Are you constantly worrying? Undereating is not a change in your thoughts. Sorry, should be there. And changes in thoughts also, like mind jumping from one thing to the other, and then imagining the worst case scenario, and then going over the same worries repeatedly. So this is what we can also, and some people can also catastrophize. You're constantly thinking about the worst case scenario, even about yourself. So that can be a repeated thing, that you're constantly catastrophizing in every situation. People also say that they experience physical changes, like they start sweating, or there is an increase in heart rate, tension in muscles, find it difficult to sleep, obviously because of overthinking. Then weight loss, weight gain, shallow breathing, panic-like feeling. These are all symptoms, but these are not limited. People can experience like lack of bladder control, bowel control, etc. So whatever your physical symptoms are, just write that down. Anxiety can change your behavior, such as, if you're restless, pacing up and down, unable to sit still. Again, going back to the GAD questionnaire, some people bite nails, including myself. Individuals may pull hair, but that not to an extent. It's a different disorder, pulling hair. So I hope if you're pulling hair too much, then you might be looking at a disorder. So just please don't ignore that symptom. It can be quite intense if you don't pay attention to it. Right, okay, if you're pulling your hair, just speak to your GP. That's a side note. Coming back to the behavior changes now. Avoidance of anxiety-provoking situations. Obviously, it's best to avoid that situations now, but we live in the world, and we have to go out and about. We have to deal with situations. So maybe avoidance can be quite, feel like a relief, but it's not a real relief. It's a trap. So don't fall in that trap again and again and again. Reassurance seeking, okay, overeating, undereating, overthinking, feeling snappy and irritable, these all changes in your behaviors. But this is, again, it's our limited list. You can add your changes. So I hope you have 5 pages in the journal now. One is your triggers, your thoughts, emotions, behavior changes, and physical symptoms. So have you made note of all of that? Right, so you have like a list of symptoms, hopefully, that what has changed because of anxiety. Okay. So this is also known as a 5-aspect model. So if you could just put whatever you've got now into these 4 different boxes, yeah, this becomes a 5-aspect formulation. Situational trigger at the top, okay? And like I want to explain this 5-aspect model. Like a situation is being invited to a speaking event in a team meeting. Like I have to speak on a topic, and that's a situation. That's constantly I have these thoughts about, oh my God, I will embarrass myself, and everyone will notice I'm nervous. So the thoughts are going to go in this box here. Now, changes in my feelings that I notice are anxiety, embarrassment, self-consciousness. They're going to go here in this box. Then physical sensations, a racing heart, sweaty palm, shaky voice, it's going to go in here. And then changes in your behavior, which is avoiding eye contact, speaking very quickly, consider leaving early. Yeah, that's a behavior change. It's going to go in this box here. That's our formulation will look like, hopefully. So I want to introduce worry management. And worry management is a structured way of dealing with worries so that they don't take over your mind and life. It is often used in CBT, which I've explained earlier, such as cognitive behavioral therapy for generalized anxiety disorder, where it can help anyone who feels stuck in constant worrying, overthinking, or catastrophizing. We can manage both hypothetical and practical worries using worry management. In the next session, we will learn about creating a worry journal, that how do we log your worries, and then also differentiating between hypothetical and practical difficulties. Now, hypothetical problems are, they just your creation, your mind create these situations, these problems, because they haven't occurred in real yet. And we get these ideas because maybe we've had a past experience of similar sort, or maybe we picked up some news from social media, or someone close has said something, and okay, yeah, I went to that pub and my experience was such and such. So then you kind of think about that, and then when you want to go to that place, you're gonna say, oh my God, am I going to be in such and such situation because my nephew or aunt, whoever, they went there and they experienced this and that. So yeah, just hypothetical worries can come from these kind of scenarios. It can also come from your own ways of distorted thinking, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail. So catastrophic thinking can also lead to hypothetical worries. Okay, so that is hypothetical, and practical difficulties are, they're your day-to-day life challenges, and they're real challenges. Okay. So we will learn about managing both in the next few sessions. So all right, I hope this has been useful. Stay tuned for the next session.